Carolyn Pye, and my presentation is called Victor Hugo's Fight for Rights. Oh, I didn't see you there. My name is Ebony. Welcome to my home, slums of Paris. Would you like a tour? I could be your tour guide. Wait, you may have heard me from my stunning role in the motion picture Les Miserables. No, no one has. See, I come from a very poor family. My brother ran away when he was 8 and hasn't come back. Can't blame him. Life was tough. My father stole anything he could, and even that was rarely enough to get us a meal. While reading Les Pauvres, Physiologie de la Miserie in my local newspaper, I came across a line that read, "Poverty thus has its degrees. Crime is the last degree." I guess that means we had it pretty bad, huh? But that's the way life was in France. You see, let me give you some background. In the early 1800s, France was ruled by Napoleon Bonaparte. That ignoble wretch couldn't run a country even if he was tall enough. When he was overthrown in 1816, he and his entire family were exiled from France forever, or so we thought. After that, France was in an uneasy state. Uprisings happened often. Some were successful, others not so much. The Revolution of 1848 marked the beginning of a second attempt to make France a republic. The Second Republic began with the election of Charles Louis Napoleon Bonaparte's nephew, to the National Assembly, then as president. See, that's where my story begins. I come from the mind of an intellectual genius. Victor Hugo was an accomplished writer and political activist who showed his concerns for the rights of the poor through his work. Victor Hugo's role as an author and politician influenced the French government to meet the needs of their lower and middle classes. Victor Hugo wrote for many years before the start of the Second Republic, penning the popular novel The Hunchback of Notre Dame. In 1843, Hugo wrote Les Bourgeois, a historical play which soon failed. To add to his bad luck, his daughter drowned in the Seine River with her husband. Devastated, Hugo turned to politics, where he could speak up against the injustices of society. Victor Hugo soon found his voice when he was elected to the French Academy. The French Academy is an association of 40 people who are intellectually gifted. All members must be voted in, but once elected, members are members for life. In the French Academy, Hugo spoke his political ambitions to the younger members. In 1845, Hugo was elected to the Chamber of Peers, thus gaining a role in French Parliament. After the Revolution, Hugo stayed in politics as a member of the new National Assembly. He became the voice of the people. He fought for freedom of press and universal male suffrage. He tried to get all men the right to vote, not only those with a wealthy background. He fought for free education and fought against capital punishment. He even came down to the slums to see what the conditions were like. Victor Hugo, like most of France, had their misgivings about the new president, Napoleon III. Hugo openly criticized Napoleon in his newspaper, L'Avènement. This caused some trouble when controversial articles were published after being approved by Hugo. In a letter I found, written by Hugo, he talks of his sons, who were editors for the newspaper. He has to testify for them in court, saying, "My son, Charles Hugo, has been cited to appear before the assize court on the charge of having failed in the respect due to the law in a newspaper article." Unfortunately, they were found guilty and paying a fine of 500 francs. Today, this is equivalent to $104 according to coin mill currency converter. Even after this dispute, Hugo continued to speak out against Napoleon to the National Assembly, calling him a tyrant. He was quoted in a book titled European Authors as saying, "Since we have had a Napoleon the Great, must we have a Napoleon the Little?" Napoleon grew worried about Hugo's constant threats to his power. Fearing Hugo would overthrow him, Napoleon quickly took his rise to power. On December 1st, 1851, Napoleon broke his oath to the Republic and pronounced himself as emperor. Soon afterwards, he threatened Hugo, who was forced to flee for his life to Belgium on a false passport. Unfortunately, Belgium was no more eager to welcome him than France was. Fearing they would lose their relationship with France, Belgium quickly exiled Hugo. From there, he went to the Jersey Shore. No, not the Jersey Shore you may know, but the shores of the island of Jersey, located in the British Isles. That visit was equally short-lived, landing him on the neighboring island of Guernsey. On Guernsey, he continued his fight for rights. During this time, he wrote many books to serve as inspiration for the French people, his most famous being the one and only Les Miserables. Les Miserables tells the story of people living during the last imperial rule. It compares conditions then to the life of the poor in France, to prove to the people that Napoleon was not serving their best interests. I play a stunning role in this book, and I'm proud to say that I helped many people through my role. As there's always more misery at the lower end than humanity at the top, everything was given before it was received, like water on parched soil. He also wrote a series of poems published in a collection called Les Contemplations. Les Contemplations talks of the divide of social classes. One line compares social classes to mountains, saying, "Seen in the azure, these two peaks, one to the east, the other west." Both books were banned in France soon after publication, but served to tell the rest of the world of the horrific conditions of the French people. In a letter found in the literary world, Hugo talks of his sons, who are editors for the newspaper. He asked to testify for them in court, saying, In a letter found in the literary world, Hugo clearly states that he believes the government is being unfair to its people. He hopes that they will not take motives to destroy the revolutionaries, so to say. He says, "If these would-be keepers of the peace were to venture on a political excursion and 4 men of spirit were to get up a riot to save the victims, I would make a fifth." Meanwhile, in France, war had broken out. Otto von Bismarck, the Prime Minister of Prussia, was trying to unite Germany. Fearing the impact this would have on Europe, Napoleon quickly declared war on Prussia. This became known as the Franco-Prussian War, or the War of 1870 as we call it in France. France was defeated in less than a year. The people took advantage of this weakened state to overthrow the French government and begin the Third Republic of France. Although he was granted amnesty in 1859, Hugo chose to remain in exile an additional 12 years until Napoleon was overthrown in 1871. Upon his return, he was greeted as a hero. When he died in 1885, 1 million people attended his burial at the Pantheon. Victor Hugo's writings were political commentary on the social ills of French society. Victor Hugo fought for many rights that Americans consider basic or inalienable. Victor Hugo served as an inspiration for people to stand up against unfair government rule. I'd say Victor Hugo is the only reason he got out of the slums. Thanks to him, I don't have to worry what my father stole to get us a meal. Now, I must be going, but on your way out, pick up one of Hugo's books. I hear they have great characters in them.